Hey guys, in this video we'll take a look at how to create an add-on for Giant Studio. So the first thing we need is we need to have Visual Studio installed. Once we're done installing Visual Studio, we need to have the Giant SDK add-on installed for Visual Studio. Once all of that is taken care of, we need to create a new project. So let's click this button here. So if we scroll down here, we can see the template for a Giant add-on. Let's select this one and click next. Let's change our project's name and let's click create. Alright, it's created a new project for us. So the first thing we need to take care of is we need to refresh our dependencies, because you can see all these error messages, right? So if you want the error messages to disappear, we need to refresh our dependencies. So let's go to project, manage NuGet packages. So let's uninstall this first. And let's go to browse, type in Giant, select this one, download, click OK. It should take a few moments to update, so let's come back when it's updated. Okay, all the errors are now fixed. We have refreshed our references, so let's look at this part here. This part here describes our add-on to Giant Studio. This part contains the name and the tooltip. The tooltip is like a description for your add-on and what it's supposed to do. This part here is also a required part. This mentions the author, the copyright, email, website. You can change these based on your requirements. So the first thing we need to do is we want our add-on to have commands. In order for us to create a command, we need to create a new class. So let's right click here, go down to add and select class. Now we'll name our class. So the general rule for naming a command class is that it should have the postfix of command. So in our case it'll be my command. You can have this as anything that you require, but only requirement that you should follow is the end of your class name should have command in it. So let's click add. So now let's include the Giant language namespace. Okay, now that's done. In order for Giant to consider this class as a command class, we need to inherit from another class called command. Before that, there's one thing that we need to do. So in here, open up a square bracket, type in command. Here we'll specify the name of our command. Let's call this my command. And let's set a tooltip for our command. This is a demo command. So the next thing we need to do is create a constructor for our class. Now let's type in public my command. And that's it for our constructor. We don't need to include any code in our constructor here. So our command requires some arguments. In order to create our arguments for our command, we need to create a new class called arguments. Let's make this a public class just so it's accessible. Public class. Now we need to inherit this class from another class called command arguments. Okay, so whenever we want an argument to be registered as an argument, we have to open up a square bracket, type in argument. Let's set a name to our argument first. Let's call this message. text. This is a compulsory argument to our command, so let's set required equals to true. If it's an optional argument to your command, you can set this as false. And let's set a tooltip here. So let's type tooltip, type in some text to display. So what we want our command to do is we want it to open up a message box and display the message the user provides to it. So this argument will take in the user's input message and display it in a message box. Let's call this, let's create a text structure first. Text structures are used to store all sorts of strings and stuff in joint. So let's call this message. Let's create new one, new text structure here. Okay, and that's it for our arguments. So let's take a look at the method called execute method. Execute. It should always have the return type of void. Okay, so our execute method should take in arguments that we define here as its argument to this function. So what we want is, let's say we want message box so we type in robot message box dot show. This should open up a new message box for us. In here we need to access the argument that we previously specified. So let's go down here, let's select the message property. Let's set this to public first. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're taking in an argument of this type, and we have defined the message structure, the text structure here, and we retrieve its value and send it to this function robot message box dot show. So if we were to build this, we would get a DLL file. We'll take the DLL file and put it into our Giant Studio's add-on directory. And then if we open up our Giant Studio window, we should see our add-on listed in the add-ons menu. We should activate it and we should be able to use it. So let's go ahead and build this one, and then we'll head into Giant Studio and see how to use the command. Okay, now we are in our Giant Studio window. If we look into the view add-ons section, we can see our add-on listed here. So since we set our name of our add-on to add-ons, it's simply displaying as add-on. We can change this to whatever we desire. It could be my add-on or whatever the name that you want it to have. So if you look at it here, we can see that our command is registered here, my command, and this is also displaying the tooltip that we specified. This is a demo command. So let's go ahead and include this. Now let's type out our command, my command. Let's type out the message that we want. Let's type hello world. So just as we mentioned in our code here, it has the argument message and it's a text structure, so it takes a text input here. So let's run this, let's see what happens. Okay, just as we expected, it displays a message hello world in a text box for us, and that's it. This is how you create a basic add-on in Giant. There's a lot more that you can do. This is just an example and a basic outline of what you can do with the Giant SDK. Thank you.